Alright guys, so there's a big video that's been making waves. Classic Sonic has overstayed his welcome by Unleashed. The Sonic community is not happy about this video, and Classic Sonic is the GOAT. So we gotta check it out. Let's see what's up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and let's get into it.
Sonic Generations was a celebration of everything Sonic, giving a fresh coat of paint to everything from Sonic's past. And in doing that, it introduced a massive split in the Sonic series, with the introduction of both modern Sonic and Classic Sonic.
The GOAT! First of all, he's the GOAT, bro. Come on. Stop hating on Classic Sonic.
Modern Sonic is basically the same as what you expect. Just the same blue hedgehog that's been adventuring since 1991, growing and evolving as a character over time. But Classic Sonic is a bit of a weird one. The good old days of Sonic on the Genesis, that is the same Sonic right here as it was back then. And as a one-off thing for Sonic Generations, the 20th anniversary game, yeah, it was fine. It was a bit underwhelming the way they handled it in Generations though, but yeah, still nevertheless a fine idea. And of course, people loved Sonic Generations. It's probably one of, if not the most loved Sonic game in the entire series.
Okay.
You go and ask any Sonic fan, or just any person in general.
It's kind of overrated in my opinion though.
They'll tell you that it's just a good game. Maybe even their favorite.
I think Sonic Generations is slightly overrated. The only reason why I think this, and it's not that the game's bad, it's still a top 5 Sonic game. The only problem with the game is, we call it a 3D Sonic game, and it's like 75% 2D. Classic Sonic's half the game. Modern Sonic there's a lot of clunky 2D platforming in the game. As far as the 2D goes, the Classic Sonic gameplay is actually pretty good with that spin dash, so.
Favorite Sonic game. Now when it comes to Sonic, Sega hasn't always handled him the best, as we know from the 2000s. And one problem that Sega has when it comes to Sonic is learning the wrong lessons from their failures. When it came to the failure that was Sonic 06, everybody, and I mean everybody, bashed that game. And I don't need to harp on that any further, to be honest. But when it came to fixing the problem of Sonic 06, I feel that Sega took a lot of the wrong lessons from that. Sonic Unleashed is my favorite video game of all time. I love it to death. But it's so obvious how much backpedaling Sega did after Sonic 06. Gone was the luxury of having multiple playable characters again. I mean, we saw them in Black Knight, but even after Black Knight, Sega cut down heavily on multiple playable characters because they believed that that was the problem with Sonic 06. Not the fact that the game was broken, but the fact that it had multiple playable characters. And while that was a criticism of these Sonic games in the 2000s,
I don't know if that was necessarily why they thought the game was wrong. The game was broken. The story was weird. It was very glitchy, and I think that, it was an adventure game. It was, technically, Sonic 06 was an adventure-style game, you know what I mean? So, I don't know if it's necessarily multiple playable characters. I know it's, a criticism of it, but I think, in general, people, when you play Sonic, you want to play as Sonic, so, I don't know.
thousands, shoving in way too many characters. If they just made, a lot of characters that were well-polished and actually fun to play, people wouldn't have an issue with it. I mean, people love Sonic Adventure 2, right? Because there's Shadow, Tails, Eggman, multiple playable characters, and the reason I like it there is because they're done well and actually play very nicely. And Sega took one of the wrong lessons from Sonic 06 and just removed playable characters altogether, up until 2017 with Sonic.
They also, completely revamped how the character plays. To this day, I mean, it's boosting. Boosting is completely different than the adventure style, the adventure gameplay, the 06 gameplay, but okay.
Forces, and even then, it was still only Shadow and the Avatar was basically just Sonic but without the boost. Now the whole point of me bringing this up is because I believe that Sega took the wrong lesson from Sonic Generations. People love Sonic Generations because it was a great game that had great gameplay. Sure, the story was a bit lacking, but apart from that, great visuals, music, gameplay, it was all solid. Except for the time year, obviously, we don't talk about that. But
yeah, that boss is terrible.
Released, Sega spent the next 10 years of Sonic just harping on the nostalgia factor that Sonic Generations had, because they believed that the reason people love Sonic Generations so much was because of classic Sonic and nostalgia, which wasn't the main reason at all. It was a reason because obviously it's an anniversary game, so that makes sense, but not the main reason at all. Generations was loved not because of classic Sonic, but it's just a good game. I mean, Modern Sonic especially, some of the best 3D Sonic gameplay we've ever seen in the entire series right there. But Sega seemed to think otherwise, because after Sonic Generations, the next 10 years of Sonic were full of this nostalgia. Even if classic Sonic wasn't there, his essence was still in there somehow. For example, Sonic Lost Worlds, the enemy designs, all very classic-y. Then we had Windy Hill Zone, which is basically just Green Hill. It was just a very cutesy art style, obviously harping on the fact that, classic Sonic, guys, nostalgia, you want that? Well, here it is. Then we had the Sonic Boom.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about, nostalgia and stuff like that. Certain elements of Sonic are iconic. Like Green Hill. These are kind of staples of the series. No one's ever got on Mario for saying, oh my god, he's in the Mushroom Kingdom again. You know what I mean? So, I don't know if that's necessarily the correct take. I mean, yes, Green Hill's been featured in a lot of the games, but I don't know what that has to do with classic Sonic, though.
Boom era. Anyways, moving on. 2017 brought us 2 Sonic games, one of those being Sonic Mania, a classic Sonic game that once again went for nostalgia with the old zones returning. Then the second game that year, Sonic Forces, surprise surprise, Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Death Egg, all returning again. Oh, and then looky here, classic Sonic's back again. You know, the thing that Sega said that it was never going to come back after generations, like, is this going to be a one-time thing? But no, they went back on their word and brought him back again. Yay. As an
Skip.
We know Forces was a very mediocre game. Some say bad, I say mediocre, whatever. Then Mania was a fantastic game. Probably the best 2D Sonic game in the series, in my opinion. It's that good. And then with the next game.
So if Sonic Mania, okay. So if Sonic Mania, let's actually take a look right now. If Sonic Mania has a 91 on Metacritic and it's one of the best Sonic games in the series, why would classic Sonic need to go away? But I'll give Unleash the benefit of the doubt and keep watching.
Frontiers again, Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary, they're back again. You guys remember nostalgia, right? Yeah, that same thing has been going on.
Someone said L-Ad? Yo, for real.
11 years ago, you remember that?
They removed the OP Spin Dash, but why? Yo, I agree. Yo, the OP Spin Dash was low-key the best part of the 2D gameplay in Sonic Generations. Like I said, I hate the modern Sonic 2D sections and gens.
Yeah, and then here we are with Sonic Superstars in 2023. Classic Sonic is back again. Classic.
And that's a good thing. That's literally a good thing.
Sonic. You know, the thing that was supposed to be in Generations and never again? Yeah, that. Now before...
And I think what they meant, honestly, I don't know where he heard that, but the thing is, this is classic Sonic in the classic era. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the same as classic Sonic showing up in, like, Forces or Generations or something like that. Honestly, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with the take that classic Sonic should not have been in Sonic Forces. Like, straight up. Like, that was just, like, a stupid, boneheaded decision, but... Sonic Superstars having classic Sonic in it is fine because it's set in the classic era. It's something that's completely distinct and separate from the modern brand, which if they branch it off together, I think that's fine. And like I said, I'm going to keep listening, but I'll get into the rest of my takes.
Before I go on any longer, I just need to say one thing. I do not hate classic Sonic. I thought it was fine in Generations, and I said, oh, call back there. And then,
okay.
Mania, yeah, I was fine with it.
Respect. Yo, classic Sonic is the GOAT, bro. We gotta salute and respect the king.
There, but I love Mania. Probably my favorite 2D Sonic game in the entire series, for crying out loud. It's not the fact that I hate classic Sonic. It's the fact that I hate that they keep bringing him back over and over again and just overusing him. Why does he need to exist anymore? I don't understand.
All right, so this idea that, like, classic Sonic is coming back over and over again, like, I think that this is also a little bit misguided, too, because other than Sonic Mania, when was the last classic Sonic game, like, straight up classic Sonic featured in it? I think we're talking about, like, Sonic R in the 90s. And the other thing is that everyone was begging for a sequel to Sonic Mania, which is what Sonic Superstars essentially is. So the reason why classic Sonic needs to exist is because everyone wanted a Sonic Mania sequel in the first place. We haven't had a straight up classic Sonic game since 2017, and before that, the 90s. So this idea that they're always bringing him back isn't necessarily true. If they never put him in Forces, then I think we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
It's literally in the name. Classic Sonic. Sonic from the 90s, you know, old Sonic. The Sonic you remember from 30 years ago, the one that you used to love. Remember that, guys? Yeah, he's back, baby. He's back. We brought him back again. Classic Sonic just doesn't need to exist anymore. We've had many...
Yes, Classic Sonic needs to exist, bro. He needs to exist because all of his games are good. All of his games are good, and if people want the series, the Sonic franchise, to evolve with modern Sonic, that's fine. But let the 3D and the 2D separate. I'll even go as far as don't put the 3D and 2D in the separate games. Classic Sonic does not need to die. I think it can be a separate part of the brand and be successful because every single classic Sonic game has been good. Like, straight up. If you go on Metacritic right now, let's look up Sonic CD Metacritic right now. Let's see what's up. Sonic CD Metacritic, 93. I don't think the other Sonic games will show up in there, but even if you look at Sonic Origins, which is a port that did horrible, even that's like in the 80s. And now let's look at Sonic Frontiers, 71. Sonic Forces, 57. Or 62. Sonic Unleashed, 60. Sonic 06. Oh, that's not even in there. But you get the gist, guys. I mean, classic Sonic is always performing well modern Sonic games are very hit and miss. So why would classic Sonic need to go away? And I don't know. Let's keep listening though. Let's keep watching.
Sonic games with the modern Sonic design using the classic Sonic gameplay. You guys remember Sonic Advance 1, 2, 3, even Sonic 4, despite your thoughts on the game? People...
Yeah, exactly. Sonic 4, the last modern 2D game was not good.
Actually liked those games. Obviously Sonic 4 bar that, but the advanced games, people loved those games back in the day. I mean, all it was is just the older Sonic games, but with the current Sonic design in it. That's really all it was. Same gameplay. I mean, even though Advanced 2 and 3 kind of spiced up by actually innovating the formula, it's still basically the same thing, but just innovated. We don't actually need...
They should remove the classic branding from classic Sonic, you think so? I mean, so just make it Sonic? Like, I mean, just put modern Sonic in a classic Sonic game. Oh, I just went in the full screen. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Sonic have these type of games anymore. We have modern Sonic for those now. Modern Sonic can do everything that classic Sonic can do, but more. A lot of people have been asking to see Shadow in Sonic Superstars, and obviously because it's a classic Sonic game, you can't do that because that'll mess up the timeline with the canon and everything. But if it was a, let's say, modern Sonic game, you can have Shadow in there. Even more than that too. Silver, Blaze, remember those guys? Yeah, you can have those in a modern Sonic game, but not a classic Sonic game because it doesn't make sense in the timeline. And hey guys, remember Fang, Mighty, Bean, Bark, all those classic Sonic characters?
Classic Sonic deserves to stay. Also, in Superstars, Sonic does have the homing attack. Yeah, that's true. And the Mario is the same way. They don't call it 2D Mario, classic Mario. I mean, I think it's more of just like an opinion kind of, like, this is straight up like, we're talking about opinions right now, right? We're talking about like a very subjective thing. So you're basically, what you're arguing is like, instead of having classic Sonic games, let's just make it like kind of like Mario, like it's Mario Bros. Wii, but it has kind of like the classic style of Mario, 2D Mario. But I mean, Sonic Superstars is the new Super Mario Bros. Wii of Sonic. So I mean, again, that's really subjective, but I think it's appropriate because it takes place in the past. Classic Sonic games are good. I mean, we're arguing for the character design, if you like it or not, basically, is what I think it comes down to.
Well, unlike having Shadow in a classic Sonic game, having those characters in a modern Sonic game is actually very possible. All you gotta do is just give them an updated design and just bring them back, simple as that. Boom, job's done. You don't have to reintroduce them as brand new characters because they already exist as characters in the Sonic series. They just haven't been introduced into the modern Sonic series yet. You know, once upon a time, the Chaotix, they were stuck in Knuckles Chaotix, obviously an old Sonic game, but in Sonic Heroes, guess what? They were brought back but with a modern Sonic design. And that same thing can happen with Mighty, Ray, Fang, all those characters can be brought back into the modern Sonic series. I mean, they've literally done that in the Sonic comics. I mean, I know the designs aren't really updated all that much, but it's already been done before. Why can't you put it into the games now? I don't understand. There's no issue with that at all. The only reason that classic Sonic keeps getting brought back is for the fact of nostalgia. That's why they keep bringing him back. There's no other reason for it. I mean, just think about it. Why? Just why? Would you keep bringing back the old design from back in the 90s when you have a current modern design already there just waiting to be used? It makes no sense, right? Other than the fact of nostalgia. I think really what it comes down to, he just doesn't like the design of classic Sonic. I mean, as far as the gameplay goes, classic Sonic games have always been good. So I think Sega should double down on what works. The reason why classic Sonic games are coming back, especially a game like Sonic Superstars, is if you look at like Super Mario Wonder, like this game looks absolutely good. Every 2D Mario game is generally pretty good. Every 2D classic Sonic game has always been good. So I think he just doesn't like the character design, really. I think that's what it comes down to. Nostalgia is in his name. Classic Sonic. It's in the name. It's nostalgia and nothing else. Classic Sonic is Sonic from older times, so leave him in the past now. We have modern Sonic already. This is modern Sonic. Current day Sonic. Evolution. You know, Izuka says that he doesn't want to touch the adventure games because he doesn't want to keep going back to older times, yet they keep bringing back classic Sonic. What's going on with that? I don't understand. He doesn't need to exist anymore. There is no reason why Sonic Superstars couldn't have been a modern Sonic game. Like, there's zero reason. Sega just thinks that...
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this game is something that aims to be new with the classic Sonic. Like I said, I think Sega really wants to just hammer home what's what with Sonic. Like, modern Sonic is his own thing. Classic Sonic is his own thing. And, you know, if you don't like the aesthetic, fine. But as far as the gameplay goes, they should double, triple, and quadruple down on classic Sonic gameplay. The fact that we never got a sequel to Sonic Mania, I guess this is like the spiritual successor to Sonic Mania, but the fact that the highest rated game in the entire franchise didn't get a sequel was very head-scratching and very baffling. But if you look, this game is going to probably be good. This game is 100% going to get a better review score than Sonic Frontiers. So as far as like the gameplay style, momentum-based, 2D, speed-based platforming, that is something that is a staple of Sonic and what made Sonic great. Like, you should do, like, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic CD, all these games, what did they do? Speed-based momentum platforming, and that's what took Sonic to the top. And almost, like, he was neck and neck with Mario, where, you know, with the modern Sonic branding, pretty much everything about modern Sonic, post-Sonic, like after the 2000s, went downhill. Like, the Sonic franchise kind of tanked. So, double down on what works. Double down in your 90s on Metacritic, your 91s. Like, those games, you should just keep doing it. Keep doing what works. But as far as 3D Sonic, yeah, 3D modern Sonic, do your own thing. Evolve. Like, build off of Frontiers, you know? But classic Sonic should be here to stay, bro.
Classic Sonic prints some money, and that is kind of true to an extent. If you look at the current figures, he really doesn't. I mean, take Sonic Mania, for example. The game was reviewed very, very well, but when it came to sales, did it really sell all that much? I mean, the game didn't sell bad or anything like that, but it didn't sell amazingly either. It took 8 months for it to surpass 1 million copies. Whereas look at Sonic Frontiers, the game sold 2.5 million copies in the first month. And
that is actually true, and it's actually a good point that he brought that up. I mean, I agree. You should definitely go to make money and chase the bag, but I think the scenario with Sonic Mania and Sonic Superstars is a lot different. I think a game like Sonic Superstars is a lot more appealing to new casual players and things of that nature. It's like a 2.5 3D type game, whereas I feel like pixel art 2D pixelated type games are very like niche, you know what I mean? So it's not that the game was bad, the game reviewed well, and the Sonic franchise should aim to put out good games, the best games possible. But you also have to look at where the Sonic franchise was at the time, especially when Mania dropped compared to where it is now with the 2 movies, with the success of Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Prime. Like, the IP in of itself since Sonic Mania came out has grown exponentially. So you have to take that into account. A game like Sonic Superstars is a lot more visually appealing. It's more eye candy. It looks like a more complete, polished game. And I think Sega's going to double down with the marketing, just with the height of how good the Sonic franchise is. Like how good of a place the franchise is in now compared to what it was in 2017. I think you have to take those numbers into account. But he makes a good point there. I mean, I wouldn't say I disagree with what he says there, but I think there's some nuance and context that's kind of missed there.
And it took Mania 8 months to sell 1 million. Like, there's a massive difference there. We even have Sonic Origins, classic Sonic game. I know it's a collection and everything like that, but still, classic Sonic's on the cover. Surely it must have done some numbers, right? Well, no. I mean, you think with how much Sega been gassing up Sonic Frontiers sales, they would have been gassing up Origins if it did so well? No, they didn't. Sonic Frontiers, the modern Sonic game, has sold so well, despite classic Sonic not being there at all. I know we have Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary, but classic Sonic himself in the flesh.
That's also true. I mean, those old aesthetic elements were in Sonic Frontiers. It didn't necessarily hurt the game because they nostalgia pandered. So, again, 3D games and 2D games have much different appetites, markets, and things like that. It's not to say that classic Sonic should be like the way the brand goes forward. 3D modern Sonic with Frontiers showed a lot of promise. They should continue to double down and work on that and try and bring that to the next level. As far as the other segment of highly revered, highly respected, consistently good gameplay, classic Sonic. I mean, the last game literally got a 91. Like, they should double down on this because it works. And I'm curious to see what the sales numbers are going to be, especially with a game like Super Mario Wonder coming out and the way that Sonic has ascended over the past couple years. I think they should also just have that separate sect of gameplay because it's good. It's what people know, what they're familiar with. And I think Sonic Superstars is going to do extremely well.
Nowhere to be seen. The game did fantastically without him there at all. And
someone says, hi, SonicHub. Yo, what's up, bro? Please answer my question. What's your question, bro? 2D games going to sell the worst because it's mostly for people who like old games. But we'll see how, like, Sonic Mania was like a very I feel like that retro pixelated stuff is very niche. You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens.
This is something that we've never seen before for Sonic either. Open world.
Like, if we're talking about aesthetic and style in the first place, which is one of the criticisms and points that he brought up, I think that, like, the 2D, like, sprite-based stuff is very, you know, if you're going to take aesthetic into account, I think that's something to do with it.
Realistic environment.
Everyone who supports SonicHub is a legend. Yo, thanks, bro.
Fight with metal. It's all brand new for Sonic. Evolution, not clinging onto the past, except for cyberspace, obviously. Classic Sonic isn't printing as big numbers as Sega really thinks nowadays. I mean, I know they keep bringing him back over and over again, so he must be doing something right, but still, it's not a fact of, oh, Classic Sonic, oh, his more popular version of Sonic, so he must sell more. Fact that we want a good game. Like, that's all we want. We don't need a Classic Sonic game, everything.
If you want a good game, then Sonic Superstars is going to be a good game. And that's what we should double down on in the Sonic franchise, is straight up just like good games. And we know that this formula is tried and true It is like, it's one of the main pillars of Sonic, and this style of gameplay shouldn't go anywhere, especially when Nintendo's coming out with a 2D Mario game. So
all time. Proceed.
But I guess some people could argue that the 2D Mario game is going to be like kind of like a new, fresh style. But so is this, though. I mean, this is still like something that hasn't really been done before in the Sonic franchise. And there's a lot to look forward to about this game, too. Like in terms of the Emerald gimmicks, the couch co-op, like the whole, like they're not bringing back Green Hill in this game. They're bringing like new vibes and new aesthetics to this game. There's a lot to love about this game.
A good game. The Sonic Advance trilogy.
So is it 2D or 3D? Doesn't matter as long as it's good. I agree.
Games, but Modern Sonic, it's still a good game, right? So yeah, we like it. The Sonic Rush series, 2D Sonic, but no Classic Sonic, well, it's still a good game, right? So you know what? We like it. We like Sonic when it's good. Not just because it's a Classic Sonic, no. We like good games. You are literally limiting yourself by making a Classic Sonic game. Limiting yourself so massively. We have had Modern Sonic games with Classic Sonic gameplay. I mean, Sonic 4 Episode 1 looked absolutely ugly, but with Sonic 4 Episode 2...
This game was mid, bro.
3D, beautiful, the art style is more modern because you have the modern mechanics and whatnot. Modern Sonic can be in 2D. We don't need Classic Sonic to do 2D. I've seen a lot of people saying that Modern Sonic doesn't work in 2D when that's blatantly false because...
This just really comes down, like, we're talking about, like, the character models at this point. It's kind of like... I feel like what the discussion is coming down to, because take classic Sonic and mod them with modern Sonic if that's the issue, you know what I mean? Like, go on GameBanana.com, download the modern Sonic model, and boom, your problem solved, I guess.
Unleashed, Colors, Secret Rings, Black Knight, Generations, Lost World, Forces, Frontiers, all Modern Sonic games with 2D in them, and people loved Colors, so yeah, Modern Sonic definitely works in 2D. You don't have to segregate each Sonic for each dimension. No, just keep one Sonic because...
Side note, I like how this place is in the IDW comics. This is pretty cool. I see like everything. You see like the ski lodge, like the little roller coaster thing. It's pretty cool.
No, Classic Sonic just doesn't need to exist anymore. I'm sorry. I know this video seems like kind of a rant and...
Sonic 4 Episode 1 was so bad, but I was able to find some enjoyment in Episode 2. Yeah, Episode 2 is definitely better.
Kind of is, but... I'm just trying to make a point here. If Sega are truly wanting to evolve the Sonic franchise and brand, get rid of Classic Sonic. Get rid of him.
But Classic Sonic is like, bro, he's him, dude. Like, Classic Sonic he's part of the brand. He's one of the, like, the Sonic social media team has talked about, like, they have this pillar for Sonic, and Classic Sonic is one of the main things. He should always be a part of the franchise. Like, keep the 2D, keep the 3D. Like, why don't we just start with there? I mean, I would love a 2D modern Sonic game as well. It's not to say that, but I feel like a game like this, with this very specific gameplay style, I think it's perfect for classic Sonic, you know what I mean? Like, this game also brings a lot of new elements to the table with the couch co-op, with the new art style, and the 2.5 3D quasi-hybrid, whatever you want to call it. New enemies, new power-ups. Like, this game is bringing a lot of new stuff to the table. So this is actually evolving the Sonic formula, Sonic gameplay going forward. It's just using a formula and a character model that maybe you don't like, but something that is tried, proven, true, and something that has always worked and always been good. If we just slapped Modern Sonic on this game, you would probably be calling it good, I'm assuming. So just go to Game Banana and mod Modern Sonic into the game.
They exist for the sole reason of nostalgia and tugging at the heartstrings. That's the only reason he exists nowadays. He has served his purpose now. Put him to sleep. Let him rest. If you still want to have Classic Sonic in
If this was a 3D modern Sonic game where Classic Sonic shows up, I would agree with you. But as far as like a game that takes place in the Classic Sonic universe, I can't disagree anymore. Especially with all the good gameplay elements and just like seeing this fully fleshed out with the full 3D environments, 2.5D, whatever you want to call it. Like, this game is gonna be fire, bro.
Have a Classic Sonic skin in the game.
I don't think Sonic Superstar is trying to appeal to nostalgia. It's just what people like. Yeah, exactly. This is what people like. Like, game is gonna be good, dude.
That is how you do nostalgia right. It's not limiting the entire game because it's just classic Sonic, but it's also not forgetting his entire existence. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for today's video then, because I've got no more to say now. I just wanted to make this video because I really don't think that we need Classic Sonic anymore, man. He just needs to die, basically. I know that sounds a bit
He does not need to die, bro!
That's the truth from me. It's going to be expected for people to disagree with me right now because that's just life in general. And I know for a fact that the thumbnail of this video is going to get screenshot and post all over Twitter because, Modern Sonic fans again, am I right? If you're going to base your thoughts on a YouTube video just by the thumbnail alone, that is a massive you problem. That's not me doing anything wrong. That is just you being a complete utter idiot. But yeah, again, I don't hate Classic Sonic. I just don't think that it needs to exist anymore.
Does the go reply? Oh, it's good, bro.
Nostalgia just doesn't need to be a thing anymore. Just keep evolving Sonic. Just leave nostalgia behind. The past is in the past.
Sonic is like an all-time iconic franchise, though. I feel like if you're a 30-something-year franchise, you should like do some nostalgia pandering. Like it's good. It's you want to bring as many people into the game as possible. Big people who are familiar with that version of Sonic and bring them back in. Like Mario does this. Like why is this a problem only when Sonic does it?
Keep it in the present and the future, please. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this topic. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me?
I disagree.
Let me know down below. Let's see.
But yeah, I mean, they're literally aiming to do a bunch of new things and evolve like this style of gameplay. So, I mean, listen, I'm here for it. I think really the take comes down to he just doesn't like the design, because as far as like the gameplay argument, like the argument, if we're talking about gameplay styles, like this gameplay style needs to stay. Like straight up, we need to pump out good games and stop having games that are like, you know what I'm saying? Stop having games that are mid. Stop having these 71s. As much as I love Sonic Frontiers, I do think of Sonic from like a brand perspective. You know what I mean? Like I think about like the general audience. I look at game reviews. Like I want the franchise to be in a good spot. It's not necessarily about my personal takes and preferences, but double down on what works. Classic Sonic in of itself is a great aesthetic. You got to consider like the mass casual demographic, the wide audience appeal. I just feel like you look at the Sonic Superstars cover, it just looks visually appealing. I feel like it's going to attract a huge audience of people. Classic Sonic needs to stay, dude. I don't know. I just disagree with it, but let me know what you guys think about this.